0909, March 1st, 2025. Right now marks 748 hours of progress on the Global Harvest simulation. Currently, the Win32 API code has been refactored to work across a minimum of 3 files. So basically, the idea here is to use namespaces with classes in order to retain the logical order of the code while following the tutorial, instead of using the tutorial's code organization, which separates all the code across around 20 files just for rendering the triangle, and it only increases from there. So how this works is, actually the namespaces here aren't truly necessary, but they allow the code to be collapsed, which negates the other effect, which would be a single file with a lot of code and then having to scroll for a long while in order to reach certain codes. So certain functions can be collapsed, or thinking of them as classes, as normally a class's code would just be laid out and only individual functions would be collapsible, whereas with this method the entire class can be collapsed using the namespace. And a side effect of this is that it also deliberately shows the dependencies between the modules, as the system class is dependent on the input and application, and rather than using a header or including that, since they're all contained within the same header, the solution has to be to use the namespace in order to use the variables of that namespace. So the dependencies are made more explicit that way. So it is more concise code, and more, well, not necessarily more concise, but it's more imperative and explicit about the order of the things. And the code does run, so the window is created, and in order to create it here, this code is exactly the same as the previous code, which contained everything in one main file, whereas this code was a bunch of classes without their headers. The headers have been included in just one header file in order to combine them all, and it seems to work. So the intention for the next hour is to continue utilizing this method, but refactor the 2000 lines of code of the 3D cube to work using the new code organization method, which uses namespaces and classes to reduce the file count in order to more easily understand the logical flow of the program.